Hey, welcome back to KennySmithGuitar.com, and I got a special treat for you. I got my good buddy here from Leavenworth, Washington. Rob Newsom's here today, and we got him to talk about one of the guitars that every time that I've come out to Wintergrass, I got to play his beautiful 1936 Martin D18, and I've played this guitar a lot, and it's one of the finest D18s that I've ever played, and it's so similar to mine. I've got a 1935 that they're really close in sound, the way the neck is and everything. But anybody that's probably traveled out to Wintergrass, they've probably played this guitar, and Rob's awful good about sharing it, and he let me play. I guess probably the first time I was out there was probably around 96, I guess 97. First time I met Rob. Been friends with him ever since, and such a great guy. And this guitar he named Maryland, and that's out of the Hollywood superstar there. Marilyn Monroe is what he named this guitar out. And I'll let Rob tell you a little bit about the D18 he got.
Yeah, I was looking for a guitar. Had a bunch of guitars, but I was really looking for an old Martin guitar. And so back a long time ago, I worked for a company in Delaware, Gore-Tex Fabric. And I was in Washington, D.C. off and on every now and then. And I started going to Steve Spellman's guitar shop. It was in Georgetown. He's the son of Senator Gloria Spellman. And he's a great guy. And he was always trying to sell me like a Goodall or some custom-made guitar. And I'd go in there and play guitars, and they were great guitars, fabulous guitars. But I kept going, Steve, I just really want a really old Martin guitar. And so I went there 3 times, and the third time he said, well, I've got this old 1936 D18, but I don't want to sell it. And I go, man, you got to sell it to me. And he wouldn't even let me see it. And so I came back home way out to Washington, and a few months later he called me, and he said, all right, so I'm gonna let you see the guitar next time you're in town. So I fly back to Washington, D.C. on a business trip, and he's got the guitar, and he says, really what happened was the hurricane blew the roof off our house in the Florida Keys, and we got to put a new roof on it.
Wow.
And we need some money. And if you want it, I'm going to sell it to you. Well, I mean, at the time, didn't have a scratch on it and hardly looked like it had been played. And it was owned by an old man who lived, it was a one-owner guitar, an old man that lived out in the rural part of Maryland, state of Maryland. And so I was thinking, well, we'll call the guitar Maryland. And then I kind of wanted to, I'm a Monroe freak, so, I thought, well, we'll call it Maryland Monroe. Well, after 5 days, it was Marilyn Monroe, and it has been ever since. So that's where that came from.
So, and that all happened, when did this all happen?
That happened in about 1995.
Wow, so you hadn't had it long when I first met you then.
Not too long.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was teaching at the Wintergrass Academy out there, and I saw Rob, and usually I kind of scan the crowd and see what everybody's playing at, and I noticed this headstock, and it was squared off pretty nice over here on the corners. I was like, oh, he's got a dark pick guard. This has got to be a 30s. And
some people cruise chicks. He cruises the crowd for guitars.
But yeah, it was we took a little break there, and Rob said, hey, I want you to I asked him what year this guitar was. He said it's 36, and I said, man, I'd love to play it. And I think that weekend I played it on stage, and been playing it pretty much every time that I've come out to this part of the country in Washington, and there's some great folks here. But I love this guitar. It's so similar to mine, and it just feels just almost identical. It has to be the same guy that made the neck on mine as did this one, because Rob's played my guitar too at my house when he's come over, and it's really similar.
If you close your eyes, you don't really. I can't really tell the difference.
But yeah, it's a fine instrument. I'm going to demonstrate in a little while what it sounds like. But I'm going to get Rob. He's found another guitar, and this is a 38. And this is a real good guitar. This is a kind of a neat guitar. It's one of those transition guitars that they were moving, into the 40s, but this has still got the all the good stuff on it, and it's got a sound of its own too. It's got a little bit, it's got a little growl to it, and it is different on it. Tell us about this one, Rob. Where you got this one?
Well, I walked into Emerald City Guitar down at Pioneer Square in Seattle, and I got some good buddies down there, Jay and Trevor Boone, and they've had this guitar store, and you should all go there. It's fabulous. It's kind of like the Carters of Seattle, They got old stuff, but they really have been like Telecasters and Stratocasters and amps and stuff. And I walked in there, and I'm like cruising the room too, and I see this guitar on stand over there, and I go, good Lord, what is that? And they go, oh, it's a 38 D18. Nobody's really interested in it. Well, I'm like over there like stinking, what. and man, this thing, first strum, just like killer. And so I got it, just needed a backup guitar.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of Nashville at the time. I've only had this thing like, I don't know, how long's Nashville been on TV?
Yeah.
But 8 or 10 years. And my favorite character was Deacon. And my dad was a deacon in the Baptist church, or still is, I guess. And I always liked that name, so I named this one Deacon.
Deacon, that's good. That's a good name.
It's pretty religious.
Yeah, it's a nice guitar. It's been played. That's what we like, or that's what I like. That's what I like in a guitar.
Yeah,
when it's been played, and this one has.
This one mysteriously has a little bit less tension on the strings. I don't know how that even works, but
I don't know.
It's just a little easier to play, and you really can't dig quite as hard. Like Marilyn, you can dig as hard as you ever wanted to, and it just keeps on giving. And this one, it's real even and great to play, but maybe not quite the horsepower.
Yeah. I'm gonna demonstrate on Marilyn here. Pick a tune, and if I can, I'm about wore out. Rob took us on about a 500 or 600 mile hike today, and we just got back, and we was hungry as a bear and just about wore out.
Well, Kenny Smith climbed Mount Stewart today, and the rest is history.
Just another thing off my bucket list, folks. But I want to thank Rob for talking about his guitars, and been wanting to do this a long time, just because of every time coming out here, and this is one of my favorite guitars, and we'll do some more video stuff on some of his other guitars sometime soon. And thanks, Rob, for taking time and telling about your instruments. They're beautiful, and thanks for saving these two. I always call these the rescue guitars, because you never know what would have happened to them, and I know that the early ones there was low numbers. So thanks for being such a great caretaker of such fine instruments.
Man, I'm the luckiest guy alive to have two of these. It's crazy.